Hey everyone, it's Kathy Koliakova with peppermarketing.com. And today I'm going to show you how I use my marketing stats tracking template to collect and gather my stats every month. Now, sometimes we do certain ones on it every week for newsletters, for instance. If we send a newsletter every week, then we'll collect those stats a week later. But for the most part, when we look at tracking these marketing stats, tracking our lead magnets, our social media following and growth and different numbers like that, we're typically looking for those to get updated once a month. So what I'm going to do is walk you through how I use this template that I have, which if you don't have a copy of it and you want to grab one, you can definitely click the link below this video and sign up for it and get your own template that you can use and customize to your own business and your own numbers. But what I'm going to do is walk you through how and what we gather and how quickly we gather them, because I often find people don't realize it doesn't take a ton of time to do this. And I always look at, there's three big benefits of taking the time to collect all your stats in one place. One, it forces you to block the time to get the numbers, so you're actually going to be looking at them. Oftentimes people will say, oh, well, I'll just look at that when I'm looking at my newsletter or go in there when I'm in my email marketing system. But the thing is, by collecting them in this way, you actually put them all together so you can look at them big picture and decide, is there a trend happening somewhere? Did something change? Is something good happening? Something bad happening? And what can you change or adjust to follow along with that trend? So collecting them to me is important because it allows you to look at these and see what's going on and track the changes. And by doing it in a way with having this sort of one-page document where you can look at the different numbers, it's a way that you're going to probably notice things a lot differently than you might just by checking on them piecemeal in the different areas. So I'm going to share my screen here and we're going to go through and I'm going to walk you through using this template that I have so that you can see exactly how I use it and how I collect them and how it's really not that hard. It does not take that long at all to collect these numbers every month. So usually I say block 15 minutes and you'll have them gathered. So let's look at here. Just gonna click over here. So this is my template that I use. It's the one myself and my virtual assistant keep and track together. So basically you can see at the bottom, we have newsletters, lead magnets, social media, Alexa ranking. So those are the main ones we're going to be looking at here because these are your marketing stats that you want to be looking at. Okay. So these are the ones where we go through and every week we'll go in on the newsletter one. We'll just log into the email marketing system, gather the numbers that are there and punch them in. So how many emails were sent in total, how many people opened them, how many people clicked, how many bounced, and how many unsubscribed. And then we put the send date over here as well. So I always send mine on the same day, but if you don't, you can punch in the day of the week that you're sending them here. Often for people that are testing out and trying, is it better on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday? This can help you look at that and decide what the percentage is. So when you go through here, you can kind of go through, look at them all. And so oftentimes you can go and take a look and see, what are the higher open rates and what was the subject line that made them open it, because the open rate is directly tied to the subject line typically. If you're looking at an influencer or somebody who's really well known that people are like, I just need to read their newsletter, I just need to read their emails, it may be a little bit different, but typically you're looking at what happened in the subject line to know what different results you got. So that's one way that you can kind of look at this and take a look and see. This is often where I'll find, so if I look down and I see some of the higher numbers, I'll look at it. Well, subject line, I'm so fed up with this. Well, obviously they wanted to know what was going on because more people clicked that and opened it. So looking at these subject lines can help you decide, is it better or worse to use certain types of subject lines when you're putting them out there. I have one client who's a job interview career coach, and when we put the word career in her subject lines, we noticed that they are definitely higher open rates. So it's something we pay attention to like that. You can also look and get an idea on the trends of your email list here. So in this one here, I know exactly where I did some clean out and I got rid of a bunch of names and emails. I did a huge cleanup in the past year. I did it a couple times where I kicked out and basically deleted and remove from the system people that weren't opening any emails and hadn't opened any in the last 6 months or looked at them. So that helps you also get to a point where you get better open rates, because the people that are then on your list are the ones who are interested in your information. So then I'm going to go over to lead magnets. So we also keep track of lead magnets. Yes, you can look in your email marketing system and see how many people sign up for them, but doing it this way gives you an idea and a different way to think about the numbers and look at them and know if you have multiple lead magnets, what kind of growth you have happening. So this one here, I did a reboot of all my lead magnets in July. So I started with one main one, and then we added a couple other ones just in the last couple months. So what we basically do is we go into the email marketing system, look at the tags or segments, groups, however you have yours set up, and look at each different lead magnet and record how many current subscribers you have on there. So make sure it's current. So if you're looking in Aweber, MailChimp, even ConvertKit, those ones, just make sure you're looking at who's subscribed and not all subscribers, because sometimes the numbers will actually show you unsubscribed people as well, and you don't want to see that. So this gives you an idea, and you can take a look, and if you wanted to create a percentage at the bottom so you could see what kind of growth you have happening, you could look at that as well. So this will just, again, as you're looking at these month over month, you'll be able to tell what's going on. So I know that we did a little push on this particular guide over here. I know that we weren't doing much over here. These are both new ones that we got going. And I know that this one was from a giveaway that I did. So it was a event that I participated in. And some of those people that signed up from the event have now unsubscribed. So just looking at all this, it's quite easy. You go into your email system, look at the tag, grab the number. Social media is fairly easy as well. I've actually stopped using Twitter for my business. I don't have my VA post anything on there very much anymore. So we don't keep track of that anymore. But basically all we did was she would go in and she would track how many people I was following and how many followers I had, and just kept track of it. So if that was a social media channel where I had a goal of trying to grow, I would have that information there and I would know, are my efforts working? Okay. Same with the Facebook page. There's another column here if you have a Facebook group. I do not have one. I probably am going to be starting one in the next few months, but I don't have a group. I don't keep track of my courses groups. So groups that people get into where they're part of one of my programs, whether it's my membership or my training programs. I don't include those. I'd be looking at tracking a free Facebook group. So if you have a free Facebook group where you're trying to build leads, you'd want to put those numbers in here as well and just watch them so that you know what's going on. With your Facebook business page, I like to watch and track not only the likes that I have on it, but people following the page. So I don't know if y'all realize, but there are different numbers there. Some people can follow your page and not like the page. So you may want to track both of those to see what's going on. Some people have really big discrepancies in those numbers. So you just want to make sure that you're looking at both of them. And just to show you where that's at, you'll see how many people like it and how many people follow it. So that's the two numbers that I'm tracking for this particular one here. Okay. Then on Instagram, we keep a track of what's going on there as well. I also leave a section over here for notes. So for instance, I got rid of a whole bunch of inactive Instagram followers this month. So I cut down about 40 or 50. So that number is going to drop a bunch. And so we'll know that's where the drop came from. So I'll put those notes in there. And then on YouTube, so this is one that not a lot of people look at. If you do use YouTube, you should consider tracking your numbers on there as well, because it is a place, I just have to switch accounts here. It is a place where you can often get traction and have things happening that you may not necessarily know about that are going on. So you just go into your channel, and this is where you'll typically see, all your different videos, what you have. You can see how many subscribers you have there. And that's a number we keep track of over here. And then when you look at about, that's where you'll be able to see how many views you have on your videos. That's in total on the videos. And that is the number that I put in over there. So I can look in and see as well here, what kind of growth I've got going on. So I know between August and October, I had about 5,000, just under 5,000 people view my different videos. So you can drill down if you want to have somebody collect for you, or if you want to know, what your top ones are. Big thing is that when you go in and look at this, it typically makes you pay attention to what's going on so you can see what's happening with different videos. So for instance, 3 months ago, I did a video on why people might not be able to tag your Facebook page. That's doing really well. So I'm going to give you a quick lesson on how you would optimize that, because I haven't looked at this recently to know. So I'm going to go into the video and I'm going to look down here, and I'm going to make darn sure that the notes that I have on this video that's getting a lot of views is actually got some good information here. And I can see that it's using my old URL for my lead magnet. So what I want to do now is go in and edit the video. And I want to change it to my proper URL, which I'm going to have to grab here now. This is all unexpected that I was going to show you this, but we'll show you. So I'm going to hit information here. So what's wrong here is we moved where we're hosting this free guide. And so now it's there. That is one of the things that I do all the time with videos. You make sure when you're putting a video on YouTube that you have links to your website and a way for people to get access to your lead magnets and sign up to them as well. So always go in and do that kind of update on there. And so that's part of why when I look at this and I go in and get the stats, I'm actually ending up in kind of taking a peek at what's going on the video so that I can learn, do I need to market one more or less? Do I need to update the video? What might I need to make and change? And all of this you'll see on your channel, not typically in your YouTube Creator Studio, but it will be on your main channel where you'll be able to take a look at all of these. You can sort your videos, like if you want to look at them and check out what's going on. You can also go in and sort them by the most popular. These aren't always, I've got some ones that have been around for years and have some really large amounts. And I do go in and update them and check them every so often to make sure that they're having a good amount of traffic. I can't necessarily replace them because it doesn't work like that on YouTube, but it is a way for you to go in and look at it. If I wasn't collecting these stats, I wouldn't necessarily go and take a peek at all of those. So it's one way to look at that and make sure I'm making some changes to go with that. And so those are the main ones that we look at when it comes to social media. Oh, LinkedIn is on here as well. Didn't have a color in the background, so I didn't notice it there, but it is there too. And so that's another one that you would go in and basically, I go in and I log in and see how many contacts that I have, and I write that number down here. So I just take a look at it that way. So stopping and taking an opportunity in a moment to collect these numbers, it didn't take that long for me to do them here to show you how to get them. Taking the time and blocking it is the biggest thing that you can do so that you are actually going around and paying attention to what you've got going on. When you go and look, for instance, at your Facebook page and you want to get the numbers, make sure you take a peek. What's your website here? Are the information that is there, is it all up to date? Is that the right guide that you want people to getting? Always take a peek at that and just see that you've got everything up to date. So when you go to your Twitter account and you want to gather how many followers you have and people you're following, when you look at your profile, you want to click at it, take a look at it and make sure, hey, have I got the right URL here on my bio? Is it up to date? So doing this just kind of makes you have that moment of taking a peek at what you have, making sure that your base of what you've got set up on your online channels is there and ready for you to use. So that is how I go in and punch all of these in when it comes to using social media. Now, one other one I was going to show you is if you have a podcast. So one thing that a lot of podcasters may or may not do is put their numbers also into a stats tracking document. If you don't have a podcast, you may not want to follow along here, but if you do, or if you're thinking about it, definitely watch this little bit while I show you how to put podcast stats in. So the reason that you want to do this again is so that you're looking at the big picture of what you've got going on with your podcast to know whether or not it's working for you and helping you as well. So this is a typical base of what we put into podcast tracking. So we basically put in the episode number over here. We have the title that we would put in here, the date that it gets released. And this is something we usually do once every like a week or so after the podcast has gone out as well. No, I rephrase that. We do this once a month. So we go in once a month, which actually allows the podcast episodes to get more views so that we can see what's going on. So what we typically put in here is the new episode we put up at the top. We take the title, we would put the name of the title in here. I'm just using numbers from one of my clients, but I'm not going to share the name or anything. So down here, we put the date in here. So we'll go in and we will look at the date. We'll punch the date in here. And then the iTunes review column, what I do on this one is we actually go into the podcast, look at how many reviews are there and what's the average review. So 4.9 is the average review, and there's 33 reviews. So in this one here, I can see that we really haven't grown any more reviews. So that means we're probably going to do a little push and ask for some reviews from people that are listeners so that we get a bit more of the reviews, because that helps the podcast get shown a little more to people when they're looking online. So we go in and each month we punch in the overall downloads that have happened. And then this is the new downloads. So this is basically a formula that I have where I take away this month from last month to get the difference, just to know in that month timeline how many more of these got added in. So this we had a couple bit of change in virtual assistants this year, and so there was a couple months we didn't have any difference. So I'm seeing, you know, here, yeah, 1,600, but it was also 2 months. So I'm looking at an average of 800 a month there. 600 here, and then that was a month and a half, so it's a little bit more. So the numbers are better if you can do them all on the same date and keep track of it that way. But that's the only way you're going to know if it's growing. And what we do is we actually go into their system, into their podcast publishing system. In this case, we go in Libsyn. So it depends on what system you're using. And we do an export of the statistics from the very beginning of time. And so we actually list these all the way down to episode 1. And then what we do is we download that document and we copy out the numbers from it into the newest column so that we can see what's going on. And the reason that I track it like that is because these other episodes that are older are going to grow over time in how many people are listening to them. So we know that this episode here from August almost doubled in how many people downloaded it there. So it's one of those episodes where we may want to go back when we see a higher amount of reach happening with something like that. We would go in and kind of look at it and make sure, you know, what was it? Was it popular? Was it a guest? Whatever was there, is it something we can replicate and do again? So that's why we would keep track of these stats like this. And that's why it kind of becomes a growing document where we continue to move to the right and keep track of all of those. And then every year, basically, you can see I have some older ones. So we put last year's into ones and we just put a kind of an X on it. So we're not using it as the current one, but we're saving the stats from last year as well so that we're not losing what we've been tracking. So that is how we would go in and track and collect podcast stats. Again, that part of it, the podcast ones are probably the ones that take the most, maybe 5 minutes to do. Go log in your system, download the file, copy that one out of there, delete the file. I don't save the file after that, and then punch it in here. And then my formulas go in and pick it up and add the new information. So that's all you would do when you're tracking your stats like that. So it is important for you to track them and make sure you take the time. And like I said earlier in this video, if you don't have a stats tracking document, feel free to click the link below this video wherever you see it and download a copy of mine that you can customize and use for your own business. The most important thing that I would tell you here is no matter how big or small your business is, it's really important for you to be taking that time each month and going in and looking at your numbers and looking at them, analyzing them, and seeing what you could do to improve on your marketing to get even better results next time. So that is all my advice for you today. Enjoy this lesson and make sure that you start blocking some time every month and start tracking your numbers so that you know what's going on and that you can do changes and improvements to do even more with what you're doing with your business and grow. This is Kathy Koliakova with Pepper Marketing, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Have a fabulous day.